Hello and welcome to a very, very festive Redmen Originals podcast. We've got a piece of tinsel, 2 stockings and 4 crackers. And we've also got 4 things to pull as well. And we've also... Carry on. Anyway.
Snowman.
And a snowman, a penguin and a little Father Christmas as well. We've gone all in.
This is the most male decorated room that there's ever been.
Yeah. It's got a real sense of like single dad desperation about this, like half wrap presents in a lot of gift bags
and money.
Anyway, it's me, Paul Machin, Steve Hoare alongside me. Dan Club's over the far side, and we've got the prodigal son has returned, Ben
Hello.
Kelly.
Annual visit. How are we?
Yeah, very good indeed. Good to see you. You sort of got the festive brief. In that you've gone festive, but you've gone hipster festive.
Yeah, well, I was basically scrolling, and the classic football shirts jumper for Liverpool is a bit cringe, I think. Yeah. So I was like, it was either this or Roma, and I think a bit of Yara Lippman on the back.
Yeah, you've done well. You've chosen well.
A nice ode to Christmas and to the Reds.
Big fan of that. Big fan of that. We've got loads of stuff to discuss. Least of all, a 9-goal thriller. Was it even a thriller? That's one of the big talking points. We'll come on to Spurs 3, Liverpool 6. We are going to be looking ahead to the Boxing Day game at Leicester. We're going to be talking about Arne Slot's Christmas list because we're shoehorning as much festivity into this as possible. But before that, we've been doing prize draws basically every day throughout December for our Legend tier subscribers on redmenplus.com. Today's prize, would you care to, I was saying model, but just hold that. Peter Kenny-Jones's signed book, Sweeper Keeper, about Liverpool legendary goalkeeper Tommy Lawrence.
There's your autographs there. You got Gordon Wallace, Jed Scott, Peter signed it, and so was George Sefton signed as well. Big George. So good prize, that.
The voice of Anfield.
That's
no
right,
less.
isn't it? You got these.
I got it.
Dan got that boxed off for us. Yeah. Signed book, good book as well.
Brilliant stuff. So we're going to spin the wheel of names and find out who's going to win today's prize. Have a little drum roll, everyone. Kerry Carroll.
Good. Oh, festive.
Wow.
Oh, we couldn't have even planned that.
Had to be.
It sounds fixed.
Chris Kringle.
Saint Nick, yeah.
Congratulations, Kerry. That book will be getting sent out to you as soon as possible. Probably after Christmas, but
Definitely after Christmas. I'd say.
Whoa, set that a challenge there. What are you doing after this?
I'm going home. I would say.
Oh
no, I know. I'm going Christmas shopping after this.
Via the post. Oh, cool. Okay, Charles. Yeah, congratulations to Kerry Carroll. We have still got a few more prizes to give away. In fact, we've got the 2 biggies. We've saved the best to last. This is number 1 of them. It is a David Fairclough super sub signed Liverpool away shirt.
That was a lot of S's.
Yellow and red with the red pinstripe crown paints replica shirt, and the big one, Sir King Kenny Dalglish signed 85-86 double winners replica shirt there as well. We're going to be doing the draw for those on the Boxing Day watch along here on the YouTube channel. Steve and Errol will be in the building for that one, and I want to say Dan as well.
Correct, yeah, I will be.
Well done. You've got time, basically is what I'm saying. Head over to redmenplus.com. Join as a Legend tier subscriber on there. There's 2 tiers. There's Captain and then there's Legend. Legend gets loads of extra bonus things as well, like 2 free pieces of merchandise every year, access to the Discord group and discounts off merch throughout the year as well. Every month there's a prize draw. But in December, we give away basically 25 prizes, and those are 2 left to be drawn. So you've still got time to get yourself on the wheel.
Can I drop a little exclusive as well while we're here? If you sign up for a month, obviously, which you do, end of January's prize is going to be a shirt signed by Ian Callaghan. Liverpool's record appearance maker.
It's the final. Oh my!
Spoiler alert for you. So that's that. If you sign up now, wait till the end of January when we do the next draw. So basically you're going to be in a prize draw for David Fairclough shirt, Kenny Dalglish signed shirt, and signed Ian Callaghan shirt also.
I had a conversation on the watch along yesterday with Errol about how certain things pass through this office. Some of them end up on the walls. So like there's some boss stuff that we got on that we've managed to collect, like a Klopp signed shirt and what have you. Some things end up very much in my personal collection, stashed up a lot for future generations. But there are things that I like. I would like to either end up on walls or end up in the personal collection, but I don't, because I want our legends to have some amazing prizes, and that Callaghan one is. It's like the iconic original Liverpool shirt, the oval badge, all red, the white collar, the white cuffs, and it's signed by Liverpool's all-time record appearance holder. So yeah, anyway, fill your boots on that. Yeah, before we move on, we'll have just this little, well-prepared integration that explains this all better. We are on the final countdown, the last days towards Christmas, and things are really heating up in our festive giveaway for our Legend tier subscribers on Redmen Plus. We have got a clock print to give away. We have got a Redmen Salah t-shirt to give away, but not only, but also 2 phenomenal signed Liverpool shirts as well. Super sub signed, David Fairclough, Liverpool away shirt, the yellow pinstripe one. Absolute magnificence in football shirt form, and the top prize, the one everyone's been waiting for. It is a 1985-86 double replica shirt signed by King Kenny Dalglish. Yes, that can still be yours. Still plenty of reasons to sign up as a Legend tier subscriber on redmenplus.com, or upgrading your existing subscription from Captain to Legend. Yes, get involved. Redmen Plus.
You look magnificent in that advert, you know.
Didn't I?
Yeah, that jumper's your colour.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's numerous.
Which of the colours? There's lots of colours on it.
The green.
The green, yeah.
Really brings out his eyes.
His good looks.
Okay.
He's a handsome man.
No, I'm not disagreeing.
I feel like the ugly man with 3 good looking men here as well. So that's what I'm
Let us know in the comments.
No, this is...
But as discussed, you are taller than me.
Everyone's taller than you.
Yeah, counts for a lot.
Steve's a very handsome man. Don't do like that. I mean, if you're fishing for compliments, then
no.
You're certainly going to get it.
Yes,
you're a beast.
There's some magnificent hair on display in this office, and then there's me.
Yeah, but people go wild for the baldies.
Listen, Arne Slot's probably doing well, and if he needed to be, his missus is nice.
Yeah, lucky.
Remember the picture when he was on Audi? When he first signed and he had his dad's sunglasses on.
Yeah,
his missus was...
And they look like a Scouse family. It was mad.
Yeah, they did.
Perfect. Anyway, love it. No need for self-deprecation.
No, it's
Christmas.
Fine. It's
You're
all
great.
good.
You're splendid.
I've got on my t-shirt actually.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone who's stuck with us so far as we got through all of this. Plenty more nonsense to come, I guarantee. So yeah,
it's been a rough 10 there.
Yeah. Right, Tottenham Hotspur 3, Liverpool Football Club 6. Steve Hoare. In my head, that is the most relaxing, crazy game of football I think I've ever watched.
Yeah, it was really, because if you just showed that scoreline to somebody, I thought this more actually. Obviously, I mean, it was 3-5 or whatever. I was thinking that doesn't really show how dominant Liverpool have been. Liverpool battered these, so it was nice to get the 6th. But yeah, only for like a brief moment when Maddison scored did you think the result of that game was potentially in doubt, and that Liverpool had gifted a team who can score a goal. But then as soon as Spurs got the 3rd, I was like, it's fine. So like, it never felt too stressful. I think we're miles better than Spurs' best team. So when you put up against and listen, the way they play is always going to invite goals against them. But when they do that with, a horrendously makeshift backup goalkeeper as well. Yeah, I never really felt at any point, even all week, I always felt we were going to win. Like usually I think, Spurs away, tough game. Like we know if we've had battles there, even though our record's quite good. Or I was pretty confident all week, even when they were, especially when I watched them against Man United in the Cup, and I was like, they're 3-0 up, and before you know it, Man United are back in. I was thinking, yeah, we're gonna have a field day against these. It's
so mad how that's happened so quickly, Ben, because I know people have been critical of Ange, and I want to do a bit more of a dive into his and the criticism around him probably a little bit later on in the show. But once the Man United game in midweek went the way that it went for them, I felt so supremely confident going into this game, because you just almost knew, you couldn't have predicted 3-6 as the scoreline, but you knew that Liverpool were going to be able to create chances and probably score goals. I didn't think it maybe to be the rate that ultimately happened, but I don't know about you, but it was like somebody just said, this is what this game's going to be in advance. And Steve's right, like a year ago, I know there's horrendous refereeing decisions involved in it all, but it was we were definitely closer to them a year ago.
Definitely. Well, they had a really good start on them, didn't they? And they were top of the league in October, and that counts for everything. So, no, but it felt like yesterday we always had we could always go again if we wanted to. It felt like, obviously it goes 5-1, 5-2, 5-3, and we were like, okay, well, we'll just sit forward again in our chairs now and go and score another one. And I feel like the tone was set by the manager in his press conference, where he was basically daring him to play the way he plays. Who doesn't love attacking football? Who how can you be criticised for being too attacking, which was code
if
for,
you don't play
please do
attacking
that.
football, you're a knob.
So yeah, I think that combined with the injuries, I always found it, but I also felt that it was a game. I felt like if we really were serious about the title, we had to go and win, really. Because I felt like the month had been a little bit of a series of unfortunate events with the Newcastle, and then obviously the derby was cancelled, and then you go and get a decent draw at Fulham, but suddenly then if you don't win yesterday, you haven't won since City in the league, and you're over 3 weeks without a win. And even though what's come before this kind of wasn't our fault, or you can excuse it, suddenly then it's like, So I think yesterday, to go away to one of the top six, to not just beat them but batter them really, and always feel like you have another gear to go into, I thought, was it the best performance of the season so far? Or certainly the first half was.
I'd say the first half was as good as anything I think I've seen from us this season. And I thought just
individual performances as well.
Just on the Spurs thing though, Dan, before we move on, I think
you've gone to our resident and Postecoglou hater.
Well, I don't want to go through every level, more that once that was a big game for them in midweek, and just has really laid out the trophies, what he has to deliver now. Otherwise, he's in a little bit of bother. I'm fine, fair play to him for that, I guess. But they fielded the same 11, and we know what we did. Liverpool deliberately didn't just rotate. We left lads at home. There were big footballers there who didn't even get on the plane or whatever down to Southampton, and so that was always going to work in our favour. And once you're watching how we're playing in the first half, there was a little sense in me going, we've got some really good changes in us here as well. And these, yes, they'll have some subs, and actually their subs did all right for them. But it felt like they had their best team out, and we had the ability to actually change it and make it almost another half a team that was just as good.
Yeah, well, I shouted it out. There was conversations around what our best team was yesterday, really, which kind of suggests what you're saying is accurate. That there were lads on the bench there that you could easily say, well, they could start. Curtis Jones being one of them, Darwin Núñez being another one, particularly with Spurs' very, very ridiculously high line and the risk they take at the back. Someone like Darwin might actually be in a decent shout for this game. Obviously, as it happened, he wasn't needed. But yeah, and also the fact that Chiesa doesn't even make the matchday squad is another conversation point in around that. But yeah, Spurs, as you said there, they have their best 11 at the moment, obviously not helped, very much hindered by the injuries, but they have no choice in midweek but to go full strength because of what he said and because of where their priorities lie, really. I don't know whether top four is even achievable at this stage of the season for them, given their form, their inconsistencies, and just the way they play, generally speaking. So, yeah, they have to go all out to win a cup, and I think the fact they played Thursday night helped us a little bit too, but make sort of no excuses, make no sort of two ways about it. We, for 40-odd minutes there, as we've all alluded to a moment ago, were absolutely electric. Not many teams in the country could live with the way we were playing. And the only sort of shame about it all, and I know we made the difference with the third goal just before half time, was the fact that we weren't out of sight after 20, because I think Salah had 5 shots in the first 17 minutes, something crazy like that. It could have been done. We could have all been sat back relaxing in our chair, and I know you can't do that with Spurs because they don't really give us the opportunity to do, but still it could have been done.
That was the big almost takeaway from Spurs, is that they didn't give up at any stretch. But just on the selection, because Darwin Núñez is an interesting shout, and it felt like a Darwin Núñez game. Jota's backstay, we know he's been the preferred guy. I thought it was a really interesting decision to go with Diaz, and it was 100% vindicated.
Yeah, I said, didn't I was here for the build-up, and I said I would have played Núñez. I thought Xerxes caused Dragusin and Archie problems, big physical lad who runs about, and as Núñez has been criticised, he's better than Xerxes at this moment in time. But the manager, again, he's got the squad now where I'm trying to think the best way to say, horses for courses, maybe a little bit, but more he definitely has a little bit look of the opposition more than I think Jurgen Klopp did. I think he picks players, for example, those two probably want to get into a physical battle. You saw on the third goal when the centre-half comes in to try and win the header against Szoboszlai and is out of it. So the manager said, well, if you want to play physical against the centre-forward, we're just not going to give you one. And then So Diaz dropping deep, but then the 2 number 10s just getting in the box all the time. That was the thing that stood out for me, is that we flooded that penalty area. I said earlier on the previous show, so apologies for repeating a little bit, but like, we just paid Spurs no respect. We just went there and said, listen, we know you can't defend, and you've got loads of injuries, and soz, but have a bit of this. We're blitzkrieg, we're coming at you with the front 3 and the 2 midfielders, and we're just coming, and you're not able to stop this. And that's pretty much what we did, all the goals. We kind of, I don't know if bombard's the right way, but overwhelmed them a little bit.
And bear in mind, that was meant to be their thing.
I
was expecting us to sit back, soak it up, and maybe punch them on the counter, and it never really developed like that. They ended up being the counter-attacking team, and their counter-attacks were humping into a corner of the pitch and
looking for Kulusevski, who was playing well, but that's all they had. They had the ball into the right channel for them, and granted, because if you are them, you're looking at Robertson at the moment, who's maybe not playing so well, and you're thinking, well, we've got a good pacey winger there, and Robertson's struggling a bit, but that's all they had, and even that, they didn't. There was a couple, there was a couple in the first 20 minutes.
I think it took Robbo a little while to work out how to deal with Kulusevski, but once he mastered that, I thought he had a brilliant final 70 minutes of that game without a shadow of a doubt. But in terms of sort of the balance of play, when Spurs have their best team, the way they play is something, and it can work because they go man for man in so many areas. You've got to be so solid. You've got Mickey van der Ven, Christian Romero, decent centre halves, but when it's not them, they've got a major problem, as was evidenced yesterday.
Yeah, and again, it's that was one of the things. Again, I'm just so spiky, so the post match about it, but that's a reality, and you can have a conversation on whether we should have done something different. But you're right, when teams haven't got their best, do go at them, like that got, and particularly because of how it went in midweek against the second I heard, because Fraser Forster is on a watch list for me. He's on a danger list of those backup goalies that it seems to pull out like the game of his life whenever he plays Liverpool. And then I saw what happened to him in midweek, and I was like, fucking brilliant.
And then he gave one to Salah after 2 minutes, and his head's up his arse. He could have done better actually on the McAllister goal later. I think he had a bit of a stinker on that one. So you are right. It's a bit like I've always felt with Slot's team, and we've all said it on different places or whatever, is that I always feel like we kind of try and suss out the opposition. Arne Slot's made reference a few times already this year in post-game press conferences. They've done something different than we planned for, and then we've had to kind of react. I think he mentioned it against Southampton when they just changed who they had up front. A couple of times I wasn't expecting that. We were expecting this. Southampton play 5 at the back against us, and you see Slot like straight away they've got 5. Obviously Liverpool weren't prepared for that. The good thing about playing Tottenham is you know what he's going to do, because he hasn't changed it for 2 years. So why is he's not going to change it now? And it doesn't matter that he hasn't got his players. So you don't have to have a feeling out process. All your analysis and all your build up all week, you know exactly what's coming. It's obvious Ange's just done this for ages. So that's a huge advantage when you've had the rest advantage. And you know exactly what the opposition are going to do. Where Ange Postecoglou had to plan for Liverpool with Diaz, Liverpool with Núñez, Liverpool with Jota. Is it going to be Jones or Szoboszlai? Is he going to play Robertson? Is he going to play Tsimikas? All these kind of questions, we knew exactly what they were going to do. Yeah. It was kind of like we had the answers to the test, and the answers were dead simple. Go.
You had to remember them. That was the challenge, remembering the answers.
Go and get at these. The worst thing you can do to Tottenham is if they go ahead of you and they get going. That stadium is impressive, and it can be loud and it can get really behind them. Don't give them a chance. We battered them. Up until the point where Alexis McAllister takes a bit of an iffy touch, Liverpool wiped the floor with Tottenham, and like Dan said, it could have been 5 before it was 1. Yeah. We were all over them. It was like a rush.
And that was the encouraging thing, because that McAllister thing, Ben, it's one of them moments. When you play like that, you run the risk of a midfielder making that kind of decision, or having a little bit of a poor touch and playing himself into trouble. And I actually think, look, Tottenham were positioned nicely to capitalise on it as well. It's actually 2 men who rush him and end up making the opportunity out of it. So sort of fair play. But the way Liverpool respond to it is the most encouraging part about it, because at no point did they even really let Spurs feel living it long enough to think that there might be something on the cards.
No, exactly, but I think that's part of the criticism thrown at Ange, because all Spurs don't have to go and get another goal there. They just need to get in at 2-1. They just need to relax and regroup at half time and go, okay, we got away with that a bit, and let's see what else we can do in the second half. But then suddenly, they got this really weird setup, Spurs, where yes, the line is really high, but also then you end up with tons of space between their midfield and their defence. So if you take that third goal that we score, yes, Szoboszlai wins the header, and Szoboszlai was brilliant yesterday. But I think a large part of why he was so good is because every time he had the ball, he had just loads of space to run into, and he knocks that ball on, And Salah then has suddenly got it, obviously he's running at their back line, and I don't understand how both of those things can be.
You know what it is? I'll tell you why it is. Because for some reason, Jed Spence goes and tries to press Trent. Like, Tottenham had us penned in, you remember? And Trent was like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" And in the end, he just has to web it forward as hard as he can. He just sends it forward. But Spence, for some reason, like you said, just get to half time, stay where you are. No, he goes. So then Dragsson has to come over. He doesn't have to come over, but he decides, well, I'm going to have to go and win this because he's gone. So all of a sudden, you've got two players out of it. Son doesn't defend anymore. He just doesn't. So all of a sudden, Mo Salah's got the freedom of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He could have chose 3 options there and they all would have scored. He could have passed it to any of those 3 and every one of them would have scored that goal. It was... I get it, you know, the Spurs thing, because it's just sometimes it's so naive and it's so dumb.
You'd be tearing your hair out, wouldn't you?
Well, you'd be throwing a lifeline
or whatever. You'd be so frustrated.
Exactly. But the mad thing is, Szoboszlai's got so much space because they've hit upon something in recent weeks, and they've started with like a single, a lone DM and 2 10s, and what they realised is they were being totally undressed when they were doing that. And Maddison was the one who paid the price, so they were moving Kulusevski into the 10, and then they brought Papsar in and went, right, we'll have a double pivot, and then that'll give us a bit more of a firm base. But actually, like, over the weeks they've been doing that, those 2 guys, those 2 holding mids have just been creeping further and further and further up to the pitch, which to the point where they now they've basically got 3 central mids or 2 central mids in attack as opposed to 2 DMs. And it just meant that, and that was part of the genius of the game plan, was Diaz could go wherever he wanted to, but it meant that Szoboszlai, as long as he stuck to the game plan, was going to have the freedom of their half, effectively, because there's just a huge gulf between defensive midfield.
Oh, God! I'll take Paul's choke. He was good. Szoboszlai was that good. Paul's choke on his wrist. The mad thing is about Tottenham, right? Like, you should play to your stadium, if that makes sense. Like, you should play to what... Like, and they're the opposite. Like, go and have a break.
Keep going.
They're a team who want to press high and like get all in your face, and they play on the biggest pitch ever.
Yeah, they do.
Like certain teams like play to their strengths, you know, like Everton do it, narrow pitch on top. Yeah, we're going to be horrible. We're going to get in your face. Tottenham try and play this mad game where they press and hurry and harry on the biggest pitch in the world. So, like you said before, it was dead easy for all of our players to just go, there is no one near me, or Gravenberch would be one man and he'd have like 40 yards in front of it. It's bizarre. He doesn't play to it makes no sense how they do that.
He doesn't, but it's because that's sort of one of their strengths as well. Like, he wants that free-flowing, loads of space, attacking, fun to watch, you know, are you not entertained type football. But the problem is, when you don't have the best team in the league or the best individuals in the league, on given days you're going to get turned over, and that's just the way it's going to be for Ange until he finds until he realises that he needs to adapt every now and then, whether it be in-game management or whether it be to start, you know what, Arsenal, Liverpool are coming to town today, let's just shift what we do slightly. I've not got my main centre half, so let's just be something different. He hasn't got it in him.
Well, look, let's stick with the Postecoglou stuff, because I think it's a worthwhile conversation. Because I agree with everything, but at the same time, I do feel like the way people are talking about it is also a bit mad. And it's funny how this can happen to a manager, where I saw his post-match interview, I think it's his BBC one, and he basically gets asked, you know, he's conceding quite a lot of goals. Is that to do with the fact that you've got players out injured, or is it a stylistic thing? And he basically goes, come on, like, if you don't recognise the fact that I've got 3 centre-halves and a goalie out, then I can't really help you. But the problem is I go, that's an absolutely perfectly fair stance on that, by the way, because Liverpool have managed really well in recent weeks, but also our backup goalie and backup centre-half options are miles better than what Tottenham's have got. But it doesn't totally exonerate him of the things that we've discussed as well, because there is no adaptation for what he's doing. And that's one of the things that was most striking for me is Liverpool normally start a bit slow in the first half under Slot, and then you watch him, he figures the other team out, and then he goes, right, here's what I want you to do, a couple of things, and then we get better as a result. Liverpool had Tottenham figured out, so they didn't need to, as you were saying, they didn't need to do that as the game wore on. It was exactly as predicted, so we could play in those spaces, and Tottenham didn't look at Liverpool and go, this is what we need to do to counteract what Liverpool are doing. They just hoped that keeping going and having some gumption and, you know, and being a bit more attacking was going to be the solution. And listen, they scored 3 goals against us. So on one side, he scored 3 goals against the top of the table. That's no one's doing that to Liverpool this season. So he gets credit, but equally, he's stuck in this mire. I do think that Jamie Carragher went overboard post-match. Like, they were like, him and Redknapp were like pigs and shit over it. And I don't know, part of me is like, I know it's their job to analyse things, but equally, like, I don't know.
But it's time and time. Yeah, Carragher's been
been
banging the same drum for the last 6 weeks, hasn't he? So it's obviously that's the way. That's why it is. He's not learning, because yes, he's scored 6 goals against top of the league.
Thanks.
He's scored 3 goals against top of the league, but they have also conceded 6, and that's worth pointing out. Yeah, you know what I mean. And so they concede 3 in the week to United. I think that's what gets on the minds, because I think he quite likes Postecoglou. I think that's the problem. And I quite like him, to be honest. He was, he's a bit miserable at the moment, but he's been a bit more of a breath of fresh air. He's, certainly better than some managers, I feel.
But I was leaving here and I had the radio on, and I put TalkSport on, and look, it's never a great barometer for football fans or actually intelligent football hosting, far from it, but they had a Spurs fan on and he was getting angry. He was saying, I've had enough with the manager and blah blah blah, and I was like, I wonder if he's going to reference the coverage. And he went about 30-40 seconds and he went, and Jamie Carragher and Jamie Redknapp, and I'm like, but this is the thing about it is, I don't know, look, they're in the bottom half of the table, so that's not good. They should be challenging for top 4, but I said this all along, I think they've got an attack that's more than capable. The problem is that there are actually a bunch of really good tactical managers in the league, and they're all the ones who are sitting above. Now that might fall apart because they haven't got as good 11s, and the squads aren't as deep or whatever. So it's not all doom and gloom. I don't think this is dead and buried Tottenham season as such. But I don't know. I thought it was a bit much, because I think it does get into fans' heads. Like it's like souring the poisoning the well or whatever for Tottenham fans. I was a bit.
Listen, Tottenham. It sounds probably easier now than, but they battered Man City 4-0 or something. So it can work. The issue I've got with them, if I was, again, I'm not a Tottenham fan, frankly, but if it was, would be I don't really like when managers ask players to do stuff they can't do. Mickey van der Ven and Romero can just about defend, and I mean just about defend in that way, because Van der Ven's got the pace and Romero's so aggressive, and even then you can see goals. Asking a midfielder, your 4th choice centre back, your backup goalie, and a right midfielder playing left back to do that, I think that's silly. And I think that would be my argument. By all means, when your team's flying and you're fit and ready to go, be you. But I think there's got to be times sometimes when you go, I'm asking people to do something they can't do. It'd be like you saying to me, Steve, right, go and run a marathon tomorrow. No, obviously not. You can ask him, he can do it. I can't. I'll die. And Dan's pulled a hamstring, the Redmen marathons tomorrow. Steve, you're up. I'll be like, I'm not. I promise you I'm not. And I have to go and do it anyway. It's not going to work. So you've got to ask people to do what they can do. And that's the only criticism I have. When Tottenham have got their best 11 out, I think there's a very good chance they can give everyone a game.
It's right, but the thing is, and just to go back to this call there, he was like, more pragmatic managers. Like, fuck off, mate.
No, don't.
You've had nothing but pragmatic managers for the last 5 years, and you hated every single second of it. What are you doing? And this is my point on this. I don't know if he's good enough, but again, at what point did Tottenham develop ambition? Like, honestly, and I know this, it's a bit condescending, it's kind of meant to be, but I don't know what they're after, and it feels like wanting a cake and eat it situation. Sometimes you have to remember that it's been dour. Like Mourinho, Nuno Espirito Santo, Conte, hateful managers playing hateful football. And it probably doesn't hurt that Nuno's doing well with Forest. But again, they've been so long without anything, they'll take anything. Given a year or two, Forest fans will get too big for the boosts and they'll be asking for something a little bit more probably down the line. But What do you want? Because there's no one else better out there. I don't think no one's gonna have them score more goals.
It's also worth mentioning.
Need to defend a bit better.
No one would. If we play like that, first 40, no one stops us. We could have beat anyone playing like that. We were just that good. Yeah, we sat here and bemoaned Tottenham. They were rubbish. Don't get me wrong at times, but we battered them. And that could have been anyone, and we'd have scored goals against them. That Salah was just on another planet. That one when he hits the bar with the footwork, it was like reminiscent of the City and Watford goals in the past. We're just on another level at the moment with the options we've got in attack and in midfield. Touch wood, everyone's in form. Like, no one's having a real stinker out of all of them. Nunes got a bit of criticism, but goal and assist in his last couple of games. So Liverpool are banging form, relatively healthy. Touch wood again, a couple of defenders out at this moment in time, and that's about it. Like that was a tough one for them to get, and I go back to it. We just showed them no respect and no mercy. We just said, listen, these points are ours. Probably buoyed by the fact that Chelsea had dropped points earlier in the day. You know, we knew Man City, they're gone. Don't have to. They're not our concern anymore. See you later. Get in the rearview mirror. That was a big boy performance, and it was reminiscent of when we went to Leicester. You know, on that Boxing Day, and we had games in hand because the World Cup, and everyone's like, oh, you know, they're only a couple of points behind, and we're like, yeah, but you've got 3 games in hand, and you've got to go and win them. Because I bet you Arsenal fans, fair enough, after beating Palace 5-1 or whatever, thinking, right, can our neighbours do us a favour? And we just went, nah. Big boy performance. Go and slap them about a little bit. I love
the idea that loads of Arsenal fans turned on at 2-1. And went, oh, okay,
here we go.
This might be
just in time to see Sabah's live running through them. We battled them. Honestly, we were magnificent, and I'm not even that arsed about the second and third goals.
You don't concede them if it's 3-1 or 2-1 or
well, the manager doesn't make those subs.
Them. Yeah.
The manager doesn't make those changes at that point, and also I think Liverpool are just sometimes that's the one thing we can do is I think we are very conscious of the minutes in the legs because the manager doesn't rotate too much. I think they are a bit like we'll rest on the ball. We'll take the foot off and you can just fall into a trap. And they scored 2 good goals. I'm not massively concerned. They're like, you know, in an NFL term, it's like garbage time, touchdowns. You know, it's like who cares?
Yeah. But nobody's putting themselves into a leg breaking situation when you've got a 4-goal lead in a football match. No. I don't think, and I think that was the one for me. The one that really stood out was Solanke's goal, where I think Van Dijk, if that's a real telling moment in the football match, throws himself at that. And it's a very un-Van Dijk thing to do, you know, but he will do it if it needs to be done. Look at the way they defended compared to the way that we defended. That game is done, and I think, and Slot referencing, I'm glad he mentioned it actually, saying how he thought the game went perfectly for 60 minutes, but then he thinks maybe a few of our lads kind of played a little bit like it was done. And to be fair, it was. So, you know, kind of, okay, I understand. But yeah, I do wonder whether that one in particular, you know, like it's a bit, I didn't see Van Dijk killing himself to stop that goal.
And also make
because
there's
no need.
No one scored more goals than Spurs. Spurs have not got a problem scoring goals. You know, that front 4 is as good as anything. You know, Son, Kulusevski, Solanke, Maddison. You know, throw Brennan Johnson into that mix as well. He's having a good season. Spurs will score against everyone. They have scored against everyone. He'll
still do his head in that slot.
But again, the important part is that we went again and got a 6. I was thinking at 5. I was thinking when it went to 5-3. I was thinking, oh, if this stays how it is now, you're going to come away maybe a bit. Oh, we've let 2 in. Whereas, you know, if it had been 3-2 and you go and win 5-3 and then or whatever, you'd feel better. But the fact that it goes 5-1, 5-3, and then you just go and score again because you can. I think that's the most important part. You've rounded off. Yeah. It's proving to everybody once again we can just score if we want.
We were saying during the watch along that I needed that 6th goal just for the vibes because actually you want to score. I want us to win. We're going to win.
Score the last goal.
I want us to score the last goal because I want to bounce out of it with that sense of optimism that the game should have given me. Whereas if you've conceded, as much as I wasn't like, oh, this is devastating. Oh, we're in big trouble here. It just took a little bit of the shine off and it makes you sound a bit greedy or whatever. But you know, I predicted this had like Liverpool Newcastle qualities to it before the game, Dan. And in the scoreline, it's got that like real great Premier League thriller, but I think Ben's right. At no point was that game ever that. This is not a legendary Premier League game we've just seen, which is mad from a game that had 9 goals in it.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah, it would never, as you said, I've never really felt like it was in any sort of jeopardy and the points weren't coming back to Anfield with us. So I make you absolutely spot on. And yeah, that on a knife edge factor, which when it did go to 5-3, even then I never really got panicky about it because we were just far superior. It was men versus boys for a large part.
I knew after 5 minutes we won that game.
Yeah, same. Honestly, all the telltale signs were there, weren't they? We were at it. We looked sharp. We looked fluid. Some of the key individuals. I mean, the space for which they afforded Trent Alexander-Arnold, like you just cannot do that. Like the fella was just running a game of football, and Szoboszlai we've already spoken about, and Salah was very much in the mood as well. So yeah, we were far, far superior, and it felt like it could have been 10-3. On the day, to be honest with you. And it was a fair reflection. I think that's what I was at when it came to sort of the 2-goal deficit for a little bit. I was like, this isn't what this should look like. This game never felt like a 2-goal game, you know what I mean? And the fact we went and get the 6th is nice. But again, I made the point, and I made the point in a piece I did last night for this is Anfield. Like, I think those goals conceded will do Arne Slot's head in. Yeah. And that is almost a positive to take away from this. Because you beat them 6-1, put them to the sword, we all go, fucking hell, our boss away. I think Arne Slot will come away and go, that bit was great, but let's just talk about this bit as well a little bit.
Yeah, but you know, I know the manager wasn't concerned. At 5-3, he's bringing on Nunes, not Endo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he wasn't. I don't think he was too worried about it.
I really want to see Endo. I was like, what do you get lost, Endo? I want to score more goals.
More chaos.
What this game needs. It's like when your pan's on fire and you just put a bit of ale into it. Just don't need to, but just a bit of show.
Well, I wanted him to do it at 5-1, so I thought, we can really go 7 or 8 here if you've thrown something
Let's
like
melt
Nunes.
the ceiling tiles.
That's my point. It goes 5-2, it goes 5-3 with probably about 5 minutes to go, and the manager chooses to bring on Nunes. But if Nunes is waiting to come on when we make it 6, so that tells me that he wasn't too concerned about it either.
I don't think he was concerned, but I think he'd be annoyed at the same time, personally. That's just the way he is. That's just the way he is.
He's a perfectionist, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And look, that's right. It's a teachable moment, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
To come away with teachable moments in a game that you've totally dominated and scored 6 goals away from home,
I think
that is almost the ultimate win.
We've just made the subs. Curtis comes on, doesn't he, and Jota comes on. And I think when you come on a 5-1, you stroll on. If that game's 2-1 and Curtis Jones and Jota come on, they're on and we're like, we're into this. Like the goal that Kulusevski scores, he just runs off Curtis. Curtis is a little bit dozy. But I bet you if that game's 0-0 or 2-1 and he's proper focused, it's half like, it's like, again, end of term at school, it's like, who gives a fuck, really? We'll just wander on, have a little bit of a jolly here, and I think a little bit of that, again, the manager can use that as a moment, but I don't think it's as, Liverpool have conceded a lot of goals away from home, but these ones were like, I'm all right with these ones. They were half meaningless, and to be fair, they were 2 good goals.
Yeah, really good goals.
By 2 good players.
Kulusevski's one, the way that's worked is excellent, but you're right, that vibe of, in years gone by, I mean, like Man United get the goals back in midweek, and it feels like Spurs' heads are going to absolutely fall off, whereas they get the goals back, and instead of doing that, Liverpool go, right, all right, sound. And like we have the chances we have in that late in that second half. You've got Diaz chips the goalie and puts it over. Szoboszlai tries to go round the goalie and puts it just wide as well.
Trent has a worldie. The goalie makes a good save.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty more good solid opportunities, but maybe just not as all conquering in that period. But it reminded me of Real Madrid a couple of seasons ago in that we ran up the early leads, and I don't know whether part of us went, cool, there we go, job done. And that's how Real Madrid went, now we're Real Madrid, we'll just go and score loads of goals ourselves now. We weren't really anticipating that, and I think, I don't know whether it obviously was nowhere near as dramatic as that, but actually it's a bit of credit to Tottenham, because I think everyone went, why are the fans not leaving? What's happening?
The fans were still singing, to be fair.
They all stuck it out. And why did they stick it out? Because
I said it was like
going to keep trying to score goals.
It was like the Austin Powers me, like, why don't you die? We're beating you 5-1. Give up. Like stop fighting us. Like, stop scoring goals. Stop trying to score.
You get your money's worth, don't you? To be fair, Spurs.
He did say, you're not entertained, and they are. But there's a lot of goals at Tottenham. The stats came up on the screen. It's a ground that you see a lot of goals. I was impressed in a way with their resilience of the way they kept going. Fair play to me. I've definitely got that in them, because most teams are 5-1 at Christmas with a game on Boxing Day would have went, let's just save some legs. The only legs he saved was Son's, and that might just be because Son was having a bit of a stinker anyway.
I heard it described, I did Saturday Social, and Fuad was a Spurs fan who was on with me, and I think it was off camera, but he basically described it and paraphrasing as like elder cruelty by asking Son to play left wing for Tottenham in 2024-25. That's where he's at in terms of his career, and I was like, oh, that's a bit shocking. And then I watched them, and I was like, oh yeah, like whereas we're building an entire team still around Mohamed Salah,
and tell him not to run, just stay there, Mo.
We still ask him to chase things down every now and again, but it's part of a wider plan that will ultimately see him placed within the width of the 18-yard box to shoot a goal. And Son is just like, we're just gonna kick this into the corners. Son, go and make something happen for us if you can, please. And
it's borderline. Again, it's disrespectful to him, isn't it? He's better than that. You're all right. Like, the one thing, and this is what I was saying the other day about Salah, our game plan is just set up for him. He's the only one, I think, who gets a pass on. You don't have to leg. Right. Like, that's the good thing of playing Diaz up front, actually. Goes back to it, is like, he did a lot of Mo Salah's running, and so does Szoboszlai. The press, Salah will press, of course, but like, he's not under mile an hour, but Szoboszlai comes and backs him up, and Diaz goes, and then Gakpo's pretty good at it as well. So Liverpool are definitely looking after Mo Salah. We're not draining, and rightly so. He's the king literally, and he's the asset. He's the jewel in the crown that's going to hopefully win us the title. Look after him as best you can, and this is what I didn't get, because Jed Spence, who's a right winger effectively, isn't he, playing left back for them? I thought he was all right. I thought he done well. and Salah scored 2 and assisted 2.
And probably could
have had
at
7.
least,
and he did it all right against them. Yeah. And we just kept feeding Mo Salah the ball. It was constant, and it was every single time we could give it to Salah. Something good happening, and 4 times it did. It's just 2 goals and 2 assists in the same game. It's just stupid.
It was very nice to see that Mo Salah score goals that didn't require him to really do anything. You know, and he had opportunities where he's making one for himself. The one where he hits the crossbar is just a bit of his Salah genius to work the space for it. There's one in the first half where it's a sensational pass from Trent Alexander-Arnold where he just knees it on, doesn't get a clean connection. But he's having to do a lot of work generally, you know, for his opportunities, and then effectively just to be given 2 tap-ins. Like, that is absolutely wonderfully ideal. I'm all for Salah racking up the goals without having to rack up any more miles in his legs.
Yeah, it's nice to see, isn't it? And obviously the one of in particular, it couldn't be more of a tap-in if it's right, just right place, right time sort of vibes. But what I really like about the one where obviously Szoboszlai lays it into his path is his movement for that, because you're right, ultimately the finish is a simple one, but the fact he just pulls himself away from the situation, he recognises that Szoboszlai's there, he's in control of it, so he just drifts and holds his run slightly, and it's just sublime.
I don't even think he really thinks about that. I think
he doesn't know, it's just natural. Yeah, he just instinctively, but he was a joy to watch yesterday.
The passes for me for the 2 assists.
Some of his passing, and he's quite unfortunate with another one. He tries to find Cody Gakpo, sort of back post, a run and a ball that's been quite familiar to us in recent weeks. And Gakpo never really gambles, and I thought if he did, he's probably on a plate, on a sixpence for another one for Cody. But yeah, he was obviously a focal point and obviously pivotal as to why we were so good and so unstoppable. And just the way he's playing right now, there's nobody can live with him. You mentioned Jed Spencer. Jed Spencer's an athlete, to be fair. Like he'll get up and about, he'll get in Salah's face. You can't stop Mo Salah right now. He's just too much at the peak of his powers for anyone. And as you said there, the fact that we even saw, you mentioned the 2 goals, a quick succession, obviously Watford and City. We even saw a little bit of that Mo Salah yesterday. The way he shifted that ball with his right foot, mate, unbelievable.
The interesting thing is on the counter as well is that sometimes Liverpool do mess it up a little bit, and on that Szoboszlai one, it's just so good. He has, again, I said it before, the options are there. It's Diaz and Gakpo, isn't it, to his left, and he could easily play them in, and that's actually probably easier. But the defenders all kind of drift over there, so that little reverse into Szoboszlai.
He looks toasty, and you can see it in the replay. He does a little scan and sees Szoboszlai, and we've had so many counter-attacks break down this season because whoever's running through has the blinkers on and and Szoboszlai is almost one of the most guilty of this. Yeah. He's decided who he's passing that to the second it breaks over the halfway line, where Salah waits for the perfect situation.
He loves that little reverse, don't he? The Diaz pass is very similar.
For a defender, that's a nightmare to deal with, that though, because you're right, everything feels like it's coming one way, and you're conscious of what's this and sort of your open side. So if he goes reverse, all of a sudden you've got a major problem getting across.
Because I say the last 2 left backs in the league to play against them, Robinson and Jed Spencer, probably walk away going, your life was all right there. And Salah's got 2 goals, 2 assists in this one. He got an assist at Fulham when we were down to 10 men. Like, at this moment in time, he's just unstoppable. He's having one of the best individual Premier League seasons I've ever seen.
It's the third. I would say this is probably the 3rd great version of him that we've seen. This will go down as one of the kits that you picture in him. I think when you think of 17, 18, probably 21, 22 before AFCON, where he scores those sitting Watford goals. And he's always been good. Don't get me wrong, he's always been brilliant. But I'd say you're adding that now as long as a trilogy of 3 great seasons, 3 great versions of him, and they're all slightly different as well. Yeah. They're all slightly. He's tweaked his game over the years, and if you go back to 17, 18 now, you can see how he plays so much differently. But he's so intelligent, and you can see that in the way he is as well. I think. I mean, I've never spoken to him one-on-one. I don't know whether you guys have now, but he's so bright. You can tell when he does his interviews, he's an intelligent guy as well. And
he's so confident.
Yes,
like
exactly.
That video we did with Harvey Elliott, and he goes like, "You didn't celebrate the assist," and Harvey went, "I never know he passed it." He went, "Who else on the team can do that? It was obviously me. No one else can do that. No one else can do this." And I do think, the contract thing is rumbling on, and he's obviously got a point to prove, and we can tell he's pissed off, and maybe that's giving him a little boost. The disrespect of the Ballon d'Or stuff, and like he wasn't one of Africa's top 10 players. I think all these things, he's seeing all these individual awards. Like we've had Salah when we had the Ekru kit that season as well.
Yeah,
that run when he
Old
scored like 10 in a row that year.
Yeah.
That was when he was the best player in the world for that stretch. He's now it again.
Yeah.
Well, he was
and
robbed.
then he goes and loses the AFCON final and fails to qualify for the World Cup, and I think that takes the wind out of his sails a little bit. But still, he's still important for us in the second half of that season.
Yeah, he's robbed that there was a point. I made what seemed like an outlandish claim at the start of the season that Salah would get a goal or assist in every game that season in the league, and he was robbed of it by the Tottenham game by the Luis Diaz.
Of course,
Luis Diaz goal not being allowed. On that, I just want to go through his performances in the Premier League so far this season, because he broke more records as we all I think we know by this point. He's gone above Billy Liddell in the all-time top goal scorers list, so he's the 4th highest goal scorer in Liverpool Football Club history. And bear in mind that I got told that Chris Wood is the top goal scorer for 2 different Premier League teams. One of them is Burnley and the other one's Nottingham Forest. And it's like, sound. This is not that. This is Liverpool. This is Ian Rush, who's got 346 goals and 660 appearances, is the top. So he's getting nowhere near that. But, you know, he's moved above Billy Liddell. He's above Gerrard, above Fowler, Dalglish, Owen, you know, and then obviously going back to some really, like, sort of old school names that most of us won't recognise, but just to have Gordon Hodgson as well in his sight. So Hodgson's on 241. So there's a very realistic chance that with 12 goals between now and the end of the season, you could see that all comps.
I think if I'm right in saying, if he scores 12 more in the league, he becomes the Premier League, maybe 13, the Premier League's all-time foreign goal scorer.
Oh, wow.
Sergio Aguero's currently got that record, and he's like 12 behind him.
Well, he's moved above Thierry Henry as well.
I mean, he's just behind him. I think he's just
I think for combined goals and assists, contributions
on the goals, he's like 2 behind him or something. He might get that on Boxing Day. Judging how Leicester are playing. So and also like say double-digit goals and assists before Christmas, first player to ever do that in the Premier League. He's just the records keep on tumbling. I do think that Ballon d'Or conversation, I think he's definitely got his eyes on that one. It'll be difficult because again, there's a summer tournament coming up, isn't there? I'm right in saying, it's the it's at the end, the AFCON isn't it, this year. So the voting should be done.
If this is the year for him to do it, it's the year for him to do it.
Because the AFCON is moved.
Yes.
So the vote will be done before the next AFCON. Yeah. So he's made that. He must be the favourite. He's having, like I say, I had a conversation earlier, like, when you think of like individual great Premier League seasons by players, Thierry Henry's 2020 comes to mind. Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or, didn't he, that year when he was at Man United? He's up there. Like Salah's he's having that type of season. It's like all these conversations where people, Salah, and you're talking about comeback, Hazard, and Salah's more closer to the Henry, Ronaldo's than he is to these. Like,
we've been doing Mount Rushmore stuff on our live shows, and like honestly, and I've espoused this to people outside of the Liverpool bubble as well. In that, for me, it's Shearer and Henry are nailed on as the all-time Premier League greats, and Salah is the next one there for me. You know, get the chisel,
done it long enough,
get the hammer and chisel out and start it now. Because even if he was to leave the Premier League at the end of the season, I think he's got enough longevity in there, plus the goal and assist return, and you know the silverware. Obviously, at the moment it's only one Premier League title, but domestic cups, and he's got a Champions League in there as well, which is something Henry didn't do, by the way, in his time in the Premier League.
It's 8 seasons of excellence, isn't it?
Yeah,
and different versions of excellence as well. Like
just to go back to it, just to remind people of what he's been up to so far this season. This is just in terms of league performances. So first game of the season, Ipswich, goal and assist. Second game, Brentford, goal. Man United, goal, 2 assists. Forest in a 1-0 defeat, which Arne Slot will take to his grave. Nothing, obviously. Bournemouth is the next game, gets an assist. Wolves, the game after that, scores. Crystal Palace in a 1-0 win, doesn't do anything. Only plays 73 minutes, bless him. Chelsea, goal and assist. Arsenal, goal. Brighton, goal. Villa, goal and assist. Southampton, 2 goals. Man City, goal and assist. Newcastle, 2 goals and an assist. Everton postponed. Fulham, assist. Tottenham, 2 goals, 2 assists.
So 2 games where he hasn't done anything.
2 games in the Premier League so far this season has he not managed to register a goal or an assist, and one of them was a 1-0 defeat, and the other one was one of the only times where he actually got subbed off with a decent amount of time.
It's crazy. I think it's 26 Premier League goal involvements this season in 16 games. Like I mean, these are
goals than Everton.
These are the Messi numbers. You know, these are the numbers that Messi puts up, and I'm rightly lauded as like the all-time great, and he is. It's more than one a game. Like I saw another stat earlier today. Like, you know, he's only 2 goals. I think he's got 229 goals now. Is it for Liverpool? You're right in saying it. You said before.
Sounds like a thing.
And it's like 2 less than Firmino and Mane got combined. Like and they're great. They're Liverpool legend, all-time Liverpool players as well. It's just, he's closer to the Messi Ronaldo conversation than he is to, like, is he a good Premier League player? That's gone. Like, he is the best right winger in Premier League history. He just, you can't even, anyone who denies that or doubts it just hasn't watched footy. They're just talking bollocks. He's just, it's stupid how good he is. And this new version, like Ben said before, he's adapted his game. He realises, listen, I'm in my 30s, I've done 8 seasons of this. I can't be the Mo Salah who's just legging it all the time. But I'll just show it how good a footy player I am. Because the first year I thought, this is not damning with faint praise. A lot of Mo Salah, I felt, was like the athleticism of Mo Salah and like the, I'm just going to run fast.
Direct. He was very narrow.
Very narrow, direct.
Yeah. That is, it's Arsenal, isn't it, in his first season?
Sprints down
the tunnel cam.
Yeah,
and it was like
David Luiz.
Roadrunner cartoon when he's running and the whole, like...
It was Luiz trying to catch him.
He was like the flying winger cutting inside. I think this Mo Salah is just the footballer Mo Salah. A lot of his goals are the ball comes to his feet and he does something or he plays the pass. He's definitely evolved his game. And I'm glad he's doing it because, like, he's showing the technique. It's a bit like when Steven Gerrard, 13-14, when I played DM, and everyone got to realise he doesn't have to run around the pitch like a madman to be good.
Yeah,
he can just use his technique and use his football skills. Like Mo Salah now, we just give him the ball. Often he stood still and he just goes, I'll just play this reverse pass to you, or I'll just make this little run into the box. He's on another level.
He's got the aura, and some footballers start to lose it, but because you're hanging off to dry. I mean, we just talked about Son. If Tottenham are going to persist in asking Son to play as a wide winger who's just got to run, and like you've seen it with Kyle Walker, if you're just asking people to rely on the physical attributes when the physical attributes are in decline, then they're going to lose that aura. Like Van Dijk had a bit of it the season before, and he's had to reboot himself and actually go again because people were starting to look at the fading power, and he'd lost a bit of his luster. Like Mitrovic set the tone 2 years ago for that, and now you look at him and he's impeccable again. Yeah. So, but that's the thing about Salah. We've managed him beautifully, and I think he's managed himself beautifully as well. And you're right. And we saw it the first 10-15 minutes. At no point did he do Jed Spence for pace, but it's let them know you're there. Stretch the game a little bit. It's part and parcel of how structurally how we're set up. But don't worry, we're going to get you into the situations that you want to be in a little bit later on. I just want to do the Henry comparison one final time. So I've got Henry's all-time Arsenal. That's all comps. 377 appearances, 228 goals and 93 assists. So 377, 228, 93. Mohamed Salah, 373 appearances, 229 goals and 103 assists. So more goals, more assists and less appearances than Thierry Henry in all comps.
He'll overtake him in the Premier League goals records this season. Again, provided he stays fit, he's just matey. He's on this level now where I don't know how you stop him. Yeah, everyone's tried everything, and the only ones who found something about it was Nottingham Forest very early on. Like you referenced that game.
Because much like Liverpool, he just finds a way. He might be working out his fullback for a little bit, and then all of a sudden something clicks, and he goes, "Okay, I know what to do."
And he doesn't panic, does he, when it's not working for him?
That was the beauty of him yesterday, because he did miss not score those chances, however you want to sort of frame it. But there was just inevitability about the fact he knew he was going to get more, and he knew it was going to be his day in some way. He was always going to define that match.
When it was 3-1, I knew we were going to score another goal at least, because Salah hasn't scored yet.
So
at some point, Mo Salah's going to score.
It was almost perfect at half time, because we're battering these and Salah hasn't bagged, and it's great for us that other people will score, but also there's going to be a real hunger from him to actually continue to drive the
game
forward.
Especially when in game, he can see how it's going, and he knows. He's always thinking to himself, if I come off and I haven't scored here, then
something's gone wrong.
Absolutely. Just to do it for completeness, the all-time Premier League top goal scorer is, of course, Alan Shearer on 260, Harry Kane 213, Wayne Rooney 208, Andy Cole, I refuse to call him Andrew, 187, Sergio Aguero 184, Frank Lampard 177, Thierry Henry 175, Mo Salah 172. So 3 goals behind Thierry Henry, 5 behind Frank Lampard, 12 behind Sergio Aguero.
I think he can beat Aguero this season, can't he? On this form he will, and then he will be the greatest foreign goal scorer.
That's the festive period.
Might beat him on Boxing Day while Leicester are playing. And then, so he's going to be the greatest Premier League foreign goal scorer of all time. If you think of the foreign strikers the league's had, the Drogbas and the Henrys, just Ronaldo for a bit, the Michus, fantastic. Mitrovic, like you mentioned before, and Mo Salah's going to be top of the tree.
Well, he should be. He's top of the tree at Christmas once again, though, with Liverpool. I just want to caveat this. This is the 7th time we've been top of Christmas in the Premier League era. So don't count your chickens. Don't get too carried away with this, Reds. It was pointed out on Sky Sports during the day before the game that Chelsea have been top of Christmas 5 times and won it every single time. So that is a little positive to take away from the weekend, even though they wouldn't have legitimately been top had they beaten Everton because of our game in hand. But whatever. Top of Christmas is top of Christmas. I don't give a shit about any of these things, really, because the fact of the matter is most teams need to be top of Christmas to win the league. So it's still something it still benefits us, I think, to be in that kind of situation. We clearly, Dan, deserve it without a shadow of a doubt. The points gap is there. It's not quite as much as we probably dreamed it could be a couple of weeks ago. But honestly, if we'd beaten Newcastle and beaten Fulham, like
it'd be done.
It would be fucking done. And I know that's a disappointment in of itself, but also that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it would. There's not sort of any luck or good fortune in where we're at. And I know our direct rivals, certainly the Arsenal fan base, would suggest that isn't the case, and they'd sort of bemoan their own misfortune so far this season when it comes to injuries, suspensions, refereeing decisions, whatever. And for us, it'd be sort of postponements they'd point at and go, well, you've had your luck there. But no, yeah, we've had bumps in the road along the way. We've had some, obviously, major sort of injury concerns as well. We've had our best goalkeeper and the best goalkeeper in the world missing for a prolonged spell of this. So Ibu Konate was one of the best defenders in Europe for my money, and now he's out for a period of time as well.
So injured.
Yeah, we've had problems. We've had major problems along the way, and again, we've had setbacks in games we've managed to overcome. We've been trailing a few games on the way. So yeah, what we've managed to do up until this point in the season has been absolutely nothing short of remarkable, especially when you consider, and this is sort of a well-trodden sentence now, but this wasn't supposed to happen. Like, we were supposed to undergo a mini sort of reset when Jurgen Klopp left. There was no major summer arrivals. The actual only summer arrival we did have wasn't picked in the squad yesterday. He's had injury issues as well. So
and the logic follows is not only just the loss of Klopp, but also because the way that football transfers go, you know, this belief that somehow your squad gets worse over the summer. Like, you know, from the season ends and your squad is worse and it can't possibly get better.
Yeah.
And that idea that we weren't good enough, in inverted commas, to win the title. And then people couldn't follow this logic that they could somehow get better with coaching and a bit better luck
just
with
by having the same people.
And of refreshing ideas.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, listen, the way we've managed to do it has been nothing short of remarkable. But can I also throw into the mix, in terms of sort of the negative column, in terms of what we've had to deal with? This isn't so much on the pitch, but in terms of like narrative and story, the contract lads. Like, I know we trot it out every single week, but it does exist. And the way we've managed to deal with that and sort of put it to one side, and those individuals deserve huge praise for that, certainly Mo Salah. But the way they manage to just keep performing and not even think for 1 second about that is just brilliant.
Also, like, I thought Arsenal were going to win the league this year because I thought
champions elect Arsenal.
I thought I thought the reason they pretty much didn't win it last year, I thought left back was a massive issue in big games, and they went and signed a good one. I thought maybe that I think Liverpool will be roughly what they were. I'll be honest, I thought City would be similar to what they were. I thought again it was going to be an Arsenal City title race with Liverpool kind of in third again. But what we've done is just incredible. Like, this fella, he's took over. I understand he's took over Jurgen Klopp's team, and Jurgen Klopp's team this time last year were really good. So we can't argue that. But like, I keep seeing this thing, and I keep going back to it. I'd love to ask you. I don't know if I have. Like, everyone keeps telling me, and he says it himself. Oh yeah, you know, we didn't have to change too much. And then I watch us play, and I'm thinking, this is so different. This is not the same at all. It's the fullbacks don't attack anymore. Really, they don't bomb on anymore. We've gone from a workman-like midfield into the midfield getting in the box and scoring goals with one fella. He isn't a DM. He's a deep-lying playmaker or whatever. Mo Salah doesn't have to run as much anymore. I think it's completely...
It feels...
The left winger, even, like... The left winger is Gakpo now. It wasn't. He was a centre-forward under Jurgen. I think it's changed dramatically.
It just feels like we've simplified things, which is mad, because it does feel like if everything, how we had to work so hard for everything, and some of this is a happy sort of response to City falling off a cliff and Arsenal having a couple of issues as well. So actually, you know, you do need another team or two to be crap at times to, you know, to steal a march. Leicester don't win the league because Leicester are unstoppable. Leicester win the league because everyone else is shite. You know what I mean? So you do need a little bit of that going sometimes.
But even if these other teams would go poor, but we would still be.
Yeah. No, he's right. Listen, but that's what I mean. But it feels, this whole sentiment of like, this just doesn't feel anywhere near as stressful as anything we've done before. It feels like he's gone to all his key players and gone, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. here's a bullet point list of the things I want you to concern yourself with. Like you're our wide forward. Don't worry about picking the ball up, Luis Diaz, on the inside our half and beating 5 men before you get to the box. Play 20, 30 yards further up and actually play on the back line and beat 1 man, and then you're in the box. Or make a run between the width of the post and see if you can get on the end of stuff. Can you do that? Yeah, I can. Cool, boss, fill your boots. How about you? Cody Gakpo, where do you want to play? Centre forward? Really not. You hate it. You really want to play left? Cool, play left then, mate. From sound. Go ahead, fill your boots. Have a good time out there. Defence, you want other people to help you out. You want to know what positions you're meant to be in when things break down. Cool, I'm going to tell you, and so on. It just feels like, I think we have changed, and I think the fullbacks do bomb on. Andy Robertson and Tsimikas bomb on all the time, but the responsibility to create everything we do doesn't come from the fullbacks anymore. It is spread equally across all of the players who play in their half of the pitch. You're right. It has changed. It's noticeably different. The whole aesthetic and the feeling of how we play has dramatically changed.
He must be some coach, mustn't he?
That's my real feeling.
Him and his staff must be bang on, because the half of them weren't there for the summer. I went to some of the training sessions. I know you did as well, and a lot of it was about possession and keeping the ball, but it was effectively a very young Liverpool team with a couple of senior players. Everyone was either resting after the World Cup or the Euros or the South American version.
Copa America.
Thanks for helping me out there, man. And then Andy Robbo was there, but he was injured, so he didn't go. It was a very young Liverpool team, and I'm trying to think, it was Salah. It was basically Mo Salah, a little bit of Jota, because he was just coming back from injury as well. Harvey Elliott, and actually Endo was there, but not much. And in about 2 weeks of pre-season, we changed everything we've done, and they keep doing it. And they very rarely, the Liverpool players, make bad decisions in terms of like coaching. Sometimes they might just fuck up, play a bad pass or do something like McAllister did the other day, and you can't legislate for that as a coach. That's just one of them things. But like in terms of like the setup and the structure, they are so well drilled. Everyone knows their job. There's a fail safe for everything. So if you lose the ball there, we've got this we've always got 4 behind the ball, or you are not allowed to play that pass because we're fucked if you do. Things like that. It's all laid out for them, like you said. It's very, I say simple, but like it's there on a plate. You know your job, what you got to do. You don't play that pass, you play that pass. You don't make that run, you play it here. There was a time yesterday, me and Chris were watching in the other room, and McAllister gets in. I think we were 3-1, maybe 4-1. And your instinct is go and attack the space, and he just put his foot on it and went backwards. And you were like, okay, again, like if that was Jurgen Klopp, he'd probably go bollock him for that. And Postecoglou would have ripped his head off for doing that. And Arne Slot, okay, that's cool.
Possessions, 9/10 of the law.
That restoration, and that was why it was a bit disappointing, the goals that we did concede against Spurs though. But we've gone back generally to that sense of, if you're winning 1-0, you're winning. Yeah, that's good. You've got to have trust in the rest of your squad. You've got to win football matches 1-0. If you can't win 1-0, then you're not going to win a title. And we've lost a little bit of sight of that in the last couple of weeks. Our defence hasn't been
definitely away from home.
But also, you've had the goalie's finally back in, and we've had, Konate's been out, and we've had to jig things around, and Robertson's been run through the mill because of a lack of Tsimikas, etc. So there's extenuating circumstances, but yeah, it's just I saw Andrew Beasley put in the Tompkins Times post-match review yesterday. It's just like, this team are going to win the league, and I can't be that. I just can't bring myself to set myself up for that publicly online or whatever. But I don't. There's nothing this team is missing. No. I could argue, and we're going to do Slot's Christmas presents in part 2, and there'll be some things I think we would all maybe choose we could add if we could. But fight, tactical nous, quality footballers, all the things that you kind of need, and all the things that most Premier League winners have got, we seem to have. I've got a super chat which I'm just going to read before we take a break. Liam Farrell says 2 days until LFC post their happy Christmas contract signings Instagram post. At least 2 of the 3, in my opinion, top of the league away in WA. That would be one of the best Christmas presents. But would it be on Slot's Christmas list? We're going to discuss that after this short break.
Hey, I am absolutely delighted to say that The Man Who Stole the World Cup, the book written by my dad, published by myself this year, is available now to buy. You can get the limited edition signed version exclusively on redmenmerch.com. When they are sold out forever. There was a simple way of getting it as well. You can get it on Amazon in a hardback print to order version, or the Kindle edition is available on there as well. The Man Who Stole the World Cup is a fun, adventure-packed time travel story about kids from Liverpool pulled from Liverpool's double winning season in 85-86 into the plot to steal the Jules Rimet World Cup trophy in 1966 that would ruin football for all time, and three adventurers set about making sure that they can save football in their time and in all future times as well. Something to be enjoyed by children, by young adults, and actually anyone who's got a little bit of love for football and geeky culture in their lives. Yes, get it. It's a perfect stocking filler for someone you love in your life this Christmas. The Man Who Stole the World Cup. You'll love it.
Hey, yes, welcome back. Thank you so much to everyone who's picked up a copy of my dad's book so far. Obviously, the signed copies are over on Redmen merch and they're going really well, but it's also on Amazon because I know postage costs can be an absolute nightmare getting things out the UK. Thank you so much, Brexit. So yeah, Amazon obviously print on order around the world. So yeah, if you're in America, it's probably easy to get hold of a copy through Amazon. But yeah, it's going really well. And actually, if you have read it and you have enjoyed it, please do leave a review on Amazon as well, because it's all part of getting it into the algorithm and hopefully getting into some sort of charts and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, obviously Christmas is upon us. Thank you to everyone who's ordered one for the young Liverpool fans or football fans in their lives. But actually, if you find you've got like Amazon vouchers or you've got a bit of dough to spend and you're looking for something really cool to do after Christmas, then yeah, The Man Who Stole the World Cup on Amazon. Okay, Christmas cracker time. We haven't really planned the Christmas special as we normally would do.
Too many games?
Yeah, I know. We normally do a lot for Christmas, but basically everyone's booked all of like December and January off. So like here we are. We've got our stockings.
Pour me
We've
cracker.
got. Do you want to do? Should we do two at a time?
We're gonna cross all.
I don't really know how that's going to work.
We've got a spare. You and Paul
I
can do a
can't get
separate
over
one.
there.
You can do a separate one.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, I lost both.
Buzzing.
Oh yeah, big fan of that.
I lost both.
I got a little.
Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, surely that's attached to something.
I got some this like look at it's like a fish
Bottle opener.
but it's like, I mean, why have I got like
Fish bottle.
fish bones bottle opener like
I've got I've got a 3-inch ruler.
That's perfect.
I know exactly.
It's got your name on it, hasn't it?
If I blank the numbers out and take a photo, tell everyone it's a proper size ruler. Like,
Stanley do.
it's fits in my hands. What's the
wow.
Yeah, I'll give that to my wife. I'll just change that 3 to a 7. Put your hat on.
I'm not a hat guy.
I'll put it on.
Yeah, you just put hats on. By
might not
the
fit
way,
me,
by all
I've got-
means,
I've got a big
I've got a big head. It's more me.
Yeah, same.
I've got a big head and lots of hair.
I've got a big
All
head.
right.
All right. I mean, Jesus Christ. Not everything has to be a personal attack. It can be an independent statement, guys. Christ.
How much did Santa pay to park his sleigh? Nothing. It was on the house. Yeah.
A classic.
Lost it already.
Look, I don't know where my joke is.
I've got a joke, but there could be a couple short. A couple
Lost my
short.
joke already.
How do you lose the jokes?
Yeah, where's my joke? My joke wasn't in there. That is an absolute disgrace.
What's the difference between the Christmas alphabet and the ordinary alphabet?
What?
The Christmas alphabet has no L.
Oh, I don't mind that. Don't mind it. No, wait, I'm... Oh, no. Wait,
No,
wait,
go on.
joke?
Go on.
Ah,
Have you already lost it? No. Sorry, I can't see a joke.
I'm so happy with just winning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you got one.
Hello.
There you go.
What is a skunk's favourite Christmas song? Jingle Smells. That's a shocker, isn't it? That's the worst one.
They've shoehorned that in.
That's an under 5.
Yeah.
Well
Well done, son.
You go to your room. Isn't he good reading it?
Yeah.
Isn't he good reading it himself?
You have to remember that one.
Yeah. Right, okay. All right, okay. What is the best way to drain water from your Christmas vegetables?
Go on.
An advent colander.
The jokes have depreciated as well.
I reckon
we peaked too early.
Yeah, I went to mine was the best there.
Yeah, it was,
And then
yeah.
it was literally a downhill slope.
Really was,
of bad Christmas jokes.
That we slayed down.
Oh, I love it.
On the house was relatively funny.
That was pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah, man, absolutely right.
They were
Open with that one.
Honestly, fucking Adam Rowe, if you're watching, have that one last.
co-ops deluxe crackers. Them.
What prize did you get?
I don't know what it is, and it's got a really long description. It's a load of numbers. It's called the mystery calculator, but I don't.
Okay.
It's got a
That's
big,
one of
long
them
description to
full-blown
it, and
bullshit things that you're getting.
Add 5, divide by 2. Oh, I know your birthday.
I got that.
Oh, maths. Well done. Merry Christmas. Go on, Dan. What you got?
Oh, I love a little hook, you know.
Do you want the eye?
Yeah.
That's for you.
What, carabiner?
Yeah. Just a hook.
Do you want a 3-inch ruler?
I'm all right. Yeah. You keep that.
It's only useful when it's cold. Let's move on.
Who needs a 3-inch ruler?
Yeah. Nobody. Some people might need it, but nobody wants it. So
let's throw that away.
So it is the Christmas period. Arne Slot will be waking up on Christmas Day, manager of a football club that is top of both leagues, Champions and Premier. The question is, what is on his Christmas list? I'm going to ask the panel to present 2 things that they think he'll be looking for, not necessarily to receive on Christmas Day, but with the January transfer window is looming as well. Maybe it's part and parcel of that. Dan Club, I'll start with you.
Okay, I said exactly this last year. I'll start with this one. And it's funny how fast forward 12 months and the same
Not like you
applies.
repeat yourself, mate.
It's not, but here we are. It's invincibility for Diogo Jota and Ibrahim Konate.
Like that.
I've got to choose another one now.
So, because I believe Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Ryan Gravenberch has put himself in this conversation in terms of the importance to what Liverpool can or cannot achieve this season. But I think if you keep Jota fit and you keep Konate fit, that goes a hell of a long way. And ultimately, they're the two that historically have the most problems out of our squad. So,
yeah, absolutely. I like a bit of that. We'll come back around for your second one, Ben. What's your first?
I was going to say the same specifically for Ibu, because I think up front we're okay. I think much better when Jota comes on against Fulham and scores a brilliant goal. But I feel like we've got more options there. I feel like we're a little bit light at the back. I would go though with, in terms of the forward line, I would get 10 goals from Darwin Núñez between now and the end of the season. I think, and maybe that's a little bit, short.
It's like my kids asking for a Ferrari. Santa can only do so much here, Hannah.
But
not a miracle worker.
I think that we're reaching a stage now where I think there are some big question marks around Núñez and what will happen with him in the summer. And I think if he can come on and the chaos is fine, but I'm sick to death of kind of clinging on to that. I think I would like him to come on and be clinical. That Newcastle performance 18 months ago, whenever everyone was now, I was so expecting to kick on from there, but he's not really. Mm-hmm. And I would just I think he's got that ability to come on potentially and score some really important goals for us, and that's what I'd like to see. Yeah,
I like that. I really do. I think that's the kind of thing where, if he's not going to be the main man, can you be a wild card like he can be, and be that? Can he be our Federico Makeda moments where he crops up with some mad goals to win games for us? I like that. Yeah,
I'm going to go boring first up. Unlike me, I think I'm usually the festive one. The contract thing, get that boxed off. First of all, Vinny O'Connor can stop fucking asking him about it. Yeah. You can tell he's getting on his nerves. Poor Vinny's having to find new creative ways to ask the same question, and he's getting the same answer. Dan was right to reference earlier on the show. It hasn't become an issue yet, but it might.
It will.
At some point, it will. If it gets to March, April time, and there's a big game, and these players have got half an eye on somewhere else, or there's they've already signed a pre-contract or whatever, all 3 of them. So I think if you could ask Arne for anything right now, transfers, whatever, I think he'd say, get me contract signed, all 3 of them, get them done and dusted, and I'll be relatively happy. Especially Salah. I think he's the key. Get him tied down. It looks like him and Van Dijk might be the easiest of the ones to do in terms of what we're hearing, but I think he definitely those 2. If he can keep Trent well, fantastic. I don't know how optimistic we are on that, but again, credit to the 3 players, the professionalism of them. It hasn't become something yet, but you get the sense that it might. So get that sorted. Don't let it become an issue.
If they don't sign, that it will be added scrutiny, because you're then getting into your body language experts start to come out again. And United had this with Pogba, and we all did it back in the day with Steve McManaman.
Trent got against Fulham, mate. Yeah. Trent everyone's running back and he's jogging. Like Trent already got it last week. Yeah, he could do without that.
First for me on Arne Slot's Christmas list, and maybe not in terms of priority, but from what I've gone for, Federico Chiesa. I think he would really like to have him as a footballer.
Is that the ghost of Christmas past at the moment?
Yeah.
The ghost of Euros past.
The ghost of Arthur Mello.
yeah. He's just there to sort of torment him at this point. He crops up every now and again, unexpectedly crops up at Axe's training ground. He's like, oh Christ, it's Federico Chiesa. What is it you want from me, Spirit? And he's like, can I just have the rest of this training session off? He's like, oh God, all right, sound, yeah, no problem. I would love dearly, and I have such low expectations at this point, and not because, for any malicious reasons behind it. I know some people get a bit wound up by these things, cough Errol, but I just want him to be able to give Salah some respite. Like, I just let Salah have 15 minutes off now and again, and half an hour off, and that League Cup doubleheader that we've got coming, which is spread over a month because fixture scheduling. I would love Chiesa to be able to play like a significant role in both of those games, meaning that Salah does not have to play in them at all. He's more than capable of being a really good player for Liverpool. He's a really good player, but the fitness thing, he's such an unknown quantity. So I'm not saying, there was a brief conversation in the summer of like, maybe, he's 27 or 28, there could be a point if Salah goes that he could be Liverpool's right winger next season. None of that. Like that is science fiction at this point. So I just want, and it's a very small ask. I'm not asking for for the world for Christmas. I just want Chiesa to be available to play in football matches for Liverpool for Arne Slot.
I was slightly alarmed yesterday that he wasn't in that squad.
I get it though, because I think what it is, Dan.
When Trey Naoni was in it.
Yeah, but I can see why. If you think about it logically, Endo is on that bench as defensive cover, isn't he? He's not on the benches as midfield cover because the only defender we have on the bench, really, you've got Gerald Kwanzaa as centre-back and you've got Kostas, haven't you? I think he needed Kwanzaa is effectively your right-back cover as well at this point. Yeah. I think if Endo's your centre-back cover, Kwanzaa's your right-back cover, Tsimikas is your left-back cover, Naoni has to be your midfield cover. Because you can't
be Elliott in the mix as well?
As
midfield
cover. Yeah, but he talked about him as a right winger the other day, didn't he? So yeah,
but
I see a point.
I will just from personal point of view, if he was fit and available and wasn't selected on that bench, that feels odd to me.
Didn't they only do the full 90?
No, he came off 84, something like that.
That bodes well for him.
Listen, I love Trey Naoni.
Naoni's fully fit and capable, and maybe that's just part and parcel.
Chiesa got 45 in that game midweek. He can't be a million miles away. I find it, to 27-year-old, if I was Federico Chiesa and I'm 27, having done what I've done previously for Juventus, Fiorentina before, Italy, and Trey Naoni's getting selected, and Trey Naoni is wonderful. I don't need to tell you how much I adore that kid as a footballer, but that is a little bit like, that's a bit odd.
We had it earlier in the year though, didn't we? We had Endo left out the squads, Tsimikas got left out of squads. Liverpool got a big squad. If Bradley and
but Trey Naoni was never in.
Dan's point, that was my argument. It was like, no, because we've got enough players there to change the front three. So actually, it is very attack heavy. So that's to your point. But it's Trey Naoni. He's a child, and Chiesa's a 27-year-old Italian international.
Yeah, but if you've got Nunes and Jota on your bench, you can't have three lads who can only play in your front line.
But we own them all, so at some point they're going to have to be. Yeah, but otherwise you're just never in the squad.
Yeah, but there's always someone injured.
It would be more concerning if Jadon Danns was on the bench.
Yeah,
instead
but
of Naoni.
I would argue Trey Naoni is such an attack-minded 10 type midfielder. The Chiesa and him isn't a huge difference when it comes to positioning. I just found it a bit weird, and that's me. Like,
do we think this could be a bit like Klopp with Sturridge of like he needs to learn the difference between pain and real pain kind of thing? Where I know he's got to get him back to fitness, but there's also got to be a little thing of, I don't know, I'm speculating, but it does make you look for conspiracy.
That was the one thing from the whole entire yesterday when I went, hang on, that's
I saw
odd.
David Lynch's tweet, and it was along the lines of it was a squad selection issue because of the balance of the bench.
Yeah. Okay.
I see your point, but I'll choose to take his word. That this is the problem people are going to have, and this is why.
And it's a good bomb.
When I did the show on the Bill, I was like, if you don't play Jota or Nunes from the start, you've got two centre forwards on your bench and no wingers. So then maybe Chiesa gets in, but then Liverpool have got defensive issues. So if Konate and Bradley are available, then Gomez is on your bench, and then therefore Naoni doesn't have to, because Gomez can. Kind of it's the shuffle. And also I think you're right. I think if Liverpool got an injury in the 20th minute and had to make a sub, obviously he doesn't think Chiesa can play 70 minutes, and that is a concern.
But it's definitely one to keep an eye on for. Right, Dan, number 2.
The free contacts move one. I would go transfer market shock horror, and it would be an additional deep line playmaker 6 type. Because Ryan Gravenberch has been out of this world, like absolutely out of this world. His performance yesterday was that of a Rolls Royce 27-year-old, been doing it for years, just phenomenal. And he's done that time and time again. And I mentioned earlier on, like, that's become the norm really for Ryan Gravenberch now. So take absolutely nothing away from him. I don't want to see him stop playing for us. However, what happens when it isn't him is kind of the point. And there will be times, maybe in game, maybe to start a few games, where he can't just keep playing 90 minutes week in, week out, because he hasn't really done it a lot in recent seasons. He still, as mentioned, only 22. And the alternative right now is Wataru Endo, who I love and want him to stick around. But it's just different. Curtis maybe, but then if you have a problem further forward, Lexi McAllister's back from a suspension recently. Szoboszlai might have problems along the way as well. I just think the DM options are Wataru Endo, who's brilliant, but stylistically and profile-wise very different. Tyler Morton. Now, I want to see Tyler Morton as a caveat to this. I think Tyler Morton goes and plays football somewhere, proper football, because he's played like 2 games this season. It's not enough. So let him leave on loan and sign one.
DM position, because I was tempted to say left back, and I don't know if anyone's gone with that. Sorry, Ben. No. Step on anyone's answer. But the thing is, we own 2 senior left backs, so you have to do something there. Whereas, whilst we own loads of midfielders, it's quite clear that Endo and Morton are there to make sure we've got bodies, but they're not really in the manager's first team sort of plans.
And both of them play the Accrington Cup game, and then the potentially in the first leg of the semi-final. They're certainly within that conversation. After that, because that comes quite early in January, both of them. After that, you have a conversation about Tyler Morton for me.
I think it's the only place in the squad where you're not comfortable with backup options.
Exactly.
Liverpool's B team, if you put it out there. And listen, this is no knock on Endo. I actually think Endo's had a good season doing what he does. He just doesn't do what Arne Slot wants that player to do. So I agree. If like a Zubimendi, for example, if he fancies it now, he's changed his mind and the mountains aren't that good anymore. Or something. Like maybe he is the option. And you'd almost have to do what we did with Luis Diaz. You'd have to carry 1 extra for 6 months, and then say to Endo, "We'll see you later." Like maybe look, Tyler, go and have a loan. Endo, you're fit, soz mate, but you're here for.
Well, that happens with Tyler Endo. I think in the summer you could have that conversation with Endo. I think you could easily, if you went and bought a Zubimendi or Belieber, whoever it may be, you could easily say, Tyler Morton, go and get your football now, mate. Thanks for sticking around, thanks for doing a job for the squad, training, etc., etc. But you go and play 5 months worth of footy.
The fact that McConnell's back as well, he's floating around. He's another one. That's actually another player all of a sudden that's in that mix who's played defensive midfield, played midfield for Liverpool at senior level, who's probably too good to just hang around and play under 21s and not get first team games. So it's definitely an area. I like that one. Ben?
Maybe a little bit of a cop-out because we've kind of already worked our way into this position, but I think he would like the schedule to be as kind as possible, to also continue to be. We've worked ourselves into this position now where the last 2 Champions League games kind of don't matter, and you can do that rotating there as well. And then also we're not going to play a playoff. But then when it comes to the round of 16, I'm just looking at the Champions League, that middle section now, you've got teams like Atalanta, Benfica, Bruges, Celtic, PSV, Dynamo, any of them in the round of 16, just to continue that we've got Accrington in the round of, in the third round. Just feels like years since we've had a League 2 side at home in the FA Cup third round. We're always away at fucking Man United or somewhere like that. So I it's not necessarily something you can control, unlike going in. And I did think about the transfers, but I think the problem that we've got is now, I would love to know whether Gravenberch has changed his position, because he clearly wanted a deep line playmaker in the summer. Obviously, we all know that. But is that player now a lot more difficult to profile? Because if you're buying a Zubimendi for however much that we're going to sign for, and I'm Ryan Gravenberch, I'm going, well, hang on a minute. I've completely made this role my own.
And if you're Zubimendi, you're thinking, am I going to play?
The competition suddenly worse. So what you're actually looking for, and maybe January is a good time to do this, because to go out and buy top level starters, nailed on starters, January is tough to do that. What you're looking for is an Endo, but a little bit better. Is it actually the right time to maybe go and make that kind of sign? I mean, look, we've done it in the past, haven't we? We obviously signed Virgil in January, we signed Diaz. I'm not saying it's out of the realms of possibility, but I think a left back is even harder, because you're looking at the likes of Robinson or Nori. Those teams aren't going to want to let their players go in the middle of the season. So I think we'll get by. But I don't know really. I don't know enough about across European football who's out there that can fit that mould of he's good enough to play for Liverpool, but he's not. I wouldn't say that the need for somebody like Zubimendi right now, maybe in the summer, is as important as it was 6 months ago.
And if you're him, you're looking at Ryan Gravenberch and, well, I'm not going to play.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
I don't think it's him for it.
And fair play to Ryan Gravenberch, he's in that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for anyone to get in the team. So
the alternative to all this is as well, and I know this creates issues in other areas of the midfield, but Ryan Gravenberch could get moved further forward and be even better. And all of a sudden, you're like, you know,
but we've got bodies there. We've got Curtis, we've got Alexis, we've got.
But you always think you've seen what it looks like until you know, like I remember me and Steve having a year of arguments of like between Karius and Mignolet, and you by the time Alisson comes in, you're like, God, what were we even doing? Like, what was that conversation?
I was still right for the record.
I well disagree, but you know, it's they were both, as it turns out,
arse.
like average goalkeepers, which is fine.
Were you team Mignolet?
Yeah, but it's
I like the lad who sometimes saved it.
But yeah, you know, that's I think you don't know until you get someone, and then because Curtis Jones wouldn't have been in people's consideration 2 years ago, and now he's right, and then people are raving about his performances and so on. Go on, Steve. What's your final one?
Yeah, I don't know if the correct way of phrasing this, and it kind of rolls into what we said there about the Tottenham 3 goals. I think he would quite like Liverpool to stop conceding goals away from home. I think like the away form has become a little bit of a concern in terms of the amount of goals they've shipped. 3 at Newcastle, 3 at Tottenham, you know, two against Southampton. And it's mad because it doesn't ever feel like we're defending particularly poorly in those games, and maybe it is just as simple as well as Joe Gomez has done and whatever, Kanate is just that much better, and maybe it's just getting him back fit and available. But I think he would like to get that'll bite you in the arse sometimes, you know what I mean? At some point, you know, you can see 3 at Newcastle and 3 at Tottenham, you're lucky to come away with 4 points. You should get no points. Yeah. So I think that's definitely something you'll be looking at and why that's happening. Again, I go back to the early conversation, the Tottenham ones, the second and thirds probably don't worry you as much, but the 2 at Southampton and the 3 at Newcastle will definitely be something that's kind of on his radar for sure.
I was very tempted just to say Stefan Bajcetic and just let people fume about it in the comments, because, like, you know, that by proxy means Liverpool aren't going to go and spend money in the January transfer window, whereas the reality is Stefan Bajcetic might be the answer to everything we've said. He's fit, he's been playing well for Salzburg. You know, the manager's gone. This might just be that perfect time and sort of moment where you get him back in.
Can I have a third wish, like a genie?
I've not done my one yet.
I thought you just done it.
No, I said I'm not picking Bajcetic.
Sorry, apologies.
I'm just
You did that thing where you told your point but didn't use your guess.
Gives me 3.
He's a seasoned pro. He's been doing this for a decade.
It's a lot longer than that. Yes, I'm just gonna play to the crowd, and it's the simplest answer. Arne Slot, top of his Christmas list, Premier League title. And I know that's like should be on every single Christmas, but this is a shot. Like, you know, you just don't know. What are the odds that Man City have a season like this? You know, there's every chance that this might be the end of them now, because we're seeing how bad they are, and they might not be able to, they might buy badly, and Rodri might not come back the same, and Walker's done, and
points ban for next season,
and he's done loads of people's heads in, and exactly 115 charges, blah 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 blah. But I think we'd all expect City to just be fine again next year. So then you're back to the world of needing 100 points to win a league title. You're top of the league. You've got a points gap there. You've got a game in hand as well. Just get a Premier League title, and then just that's done. You've boxed that. That's not a millstone that you build. It's not a 5-year plan like Arteta and Martin Keown going, oh, he might be 2 years away from his finished team. No, mate, he should be winning the league title this season. He's had years to get it right. This should be the one. So yeah, for Arne Slot, for me, gave him above all else, and maybe it's a combination of all the factors we've sort of discussed there. It might take all of them, but whatever it takes to get that man a Premier League.
Very quick, get Conor Bradley fit will be one. I think that's a big one, because you can rest and rotate Trent, and you can. I thought Bradley pre-injury was getting to a point where he was playing just as good as anyone. I think he's going to be a special player, and I think Liverpool could do with him with all these fixtures that Ben mentioned coming up. Get Bradley back as soon as you can.
Especially if the Trent thing drags on, you know, because that is about to. You were talking about it before. The narrative on that is about to go up a level, because we are. I don't know how much it means really, but because we're about to enter January and that's where the narrative is going to change to. Not necessarily that it's going to matter to the players, but constantly now Sky every week going to be like, well, now they can negotiate with foreign clubs.
Yeah, it's
and,
happening already. They're counting it down on Sky Sports News.
9 days already.
But the Bradley thing, I think, is important because, and I think in regards to Trent, how much we see of Bradley in the second half of the season, I think, will be quite telling, I think, as to where that is.
Right, we've gone wildly over time on that segment. We should be wrapping up, but we haven't talked about the Boxing Day game yet. And I'm acutely aware that you've not booked in a specific show for that, so we need to talk about this to fill a slot in the schedule. So let's talk Boxing Day football. Leicester, you're not having the hat now?
It was a bit sweaty.
All right, Sam. Leicester City at home. I'm wary of this, of going too heavy on this. It's not worked for them so far with Ruud van Nistelrooy in charge. In fact, they were humbled by Wolves, and who are another team that are struggling. In fact, struggling worse. New manager come in. A new manager bounced in a big way. To lose at home the way that he did was not great for them. The issue that Leicester have got, Steve, is that
the crap.
But you look at the players. Like Jamie Vardy should not be leading the line as the main centre forward for Leicester heading into 2025. That is an horrendous mismanagement of squads and budget. Harry Winks is a capable central midfielder, but he's not of the top of that sort of standard. So I think Leicester are playing with expectations of, we're a Premier League team, we're a good Premier League team, we've won the Premier League, here's where we should be at, but I've got no barometer for really the level of quality that Van Nistelrooy's got, and that's Van Nistelrooy. I'm not sure he's a good enough manager, but because I'm saying all this stuff, I am fearful that they're going to rock up on Boxing Day and cause some mad upset.
Yeah, well, it's a free hit, isn't it, for them? Like, geez, they've got nothing to lose. They're getting battered as it is. They've had issues. Obviously, the goalkeeper the other day, Danny Ward, his own fans were singing his shite at him, which is
where do we stand on that? By the way,
I don't think you should ever sing to one of your players that the crap. Like I never agree with booing your players even if they play badly. I think you can almost be silent and kind of get it.
But you can do stuff full time. I think to say you've been upset or annoyed with a performance.
I hate they booed, but I hate when fans boo their own team. It winds me up. It's just not something I agree with. You're a supporter. The name is kind of in the name, but they're on this case. The basic stats show you they don't get enough shots and they concede way too many shots. It is that simple. Van Nistelrooy's come in, taken over from Steve Cooper, and he had a hard job in that. Ex-Forest, it was a bit like when Rafa took over Everton. It was never really going to work for them. Yeah. So they've gone for Van Nistelrooy, and maybe it was just the players. They look like a championship team. They've got a lot of what you call championship players. There's a couple of good players, but yeah, it's been really tough for them. And listen, I tell you now, if you give Liverpool 15 shots at goal, you're going to go away from Boxing Day with hiding. So if they continue how they've been doing and we continue what we've been doing, Liverpool should beat them comfortably. But you are right. Sometimes you get a team and it's just like, listen, who cares? Let's just go and give it an absolute go and see what we can get out of these things, because shits and giggles needs must kind of stuff. But if they'd have beaten Wolves, that gap would have been 8 points, I think I'm right in saying. And that's a big old gap. That you're almost safe with 8 points. Like that's a hard gap for the 18th place to come and get. The fact that Wolves beat them, they come to Anfield now thinking, oh my God, we might half need something, and that's it should be a free hit. That's never easy for them. So I'm pretty confident. Liverpool should beat Leicester at home. It's not Liverpool v Leicester of bygone years. This is Liverpool, this couldn't last.
I lived years of Leicester being our bogey team in the 90s, and we used to laugh about like Ian Marshall, and then he just rock up to Anfield and score. It was highly frustrating, but yeah, it's a different thing. Just lastly on that, the Ward thing, we had this with Karius. So, like, anyone who went to that Tranmere Rovers pre-season game after Kiev,
and he cheered when he scored, when he saved one.
But it was the ironic cheers. That's the worst thing, because that was what was being reported at the weekend. I didn't know they were singing, actively chanting against him and stuff. But I heard about like the going way when he catches one, and it's like, fuck. I mean, Leicester fans are horrible anyway.
They're horrible. Yeah, they're the worst. Yeah. Leicester fans are the worst.
Yeah,
that was my only point. And we always managed to play them at this time of year as well, and they love that particular song. They're horrible.
Yeah, no. So I they deserve nothing as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think Danny Ward's a great goalkeeper. I think he's, he definitely had a time. There was a sliding doors moment where maybe he could have been Liverpool's goalie, and who knows. But ultimately, we bought Alisson, and the rest is history off that. But this is a guy who got Huddersfield promoted. He certainly had things going for him. I think I always find this with sub-goalies, when you're a sub-goalie forever and they keep buying goalies in above you, it kind of tells you a lot of where you're at. When Schmeichel left, if you're then taking the place, it's often like, well, why weren't you weren't really ready to dislodge him? And obviously that's never happened. So I don't agree with it. I think the fans have been a bit shitty to him, but if he carries on, that's not a situation. It's getting better. You can't improve as a goal, you know what I mean? Because every goalkeeper makes mistakes.
It's worth mentioning though, Paul, that was a Van Nistelrooy choice. Obviously, the first choice goalie is injured, but you do have Iverson.
You got two of us,
and he chose to go Danny Ward, and their fans hate that. They don't like him anyway.
Yeah.
It's a strange
but
one.
Iverson's, again, the risk of him, he's probably going to start and he'll be that goalie, but he's not.
No, but what I'm saying, it's one of those things. Sometimes new managers fail to read the room.
Yeah.
If there's a player who your fans just don't like, who they're not having, and then you pick him, sometimes that's a little bit naive.
He's played a couple, hasn't he, Danny Ward now? This isn't his first game. I said to you, he's been there for like a decade. He's been waiting in the wings for so long. You feel like if the first choice goalie does get injured, it really should be Danny Ward, because he's paid his dues, he served his time. But yeah, in terms of the quality, and maybe just a lack of footy thing.
It shouldn't be a prerequisite for a first 11 berth.
Of course not, no.
But
if he isn't, again, I always question sort of your own motives and your own, and sort of where's your own head at. And if he plays Boxing Day, his head's going to be in the bin, isn't it? Let's be honest. So
yeah, just in terms of what they're likely to offer, Jamie Vardy's their top goal scorer in the Premier League this season. Again, just a reminder, it's 2024. 6 goals, I say, this season, 3 assists for him. For Kunda Buonanotte is on 4, Jordan Ayew 3, James Justin 2, Mavididi, who's actually probably their only real bright spark against Wolves, over on the left-hand side.
He booed James Justin as well, didn't he? I read that he booed James Justin, and he's meant to be one of the better.
He was. I think post-injury hasn't quite been the same, potentially. But
they're a weird bunch, Leicester. I'd be more than happy for us to absolutely batter them in this game, to be perfectly honest. But Boxing Day has been quite a good sort of thing for us, televised game. It's one of my favourite. It is my favourite time of the year. All the Liverpool supporting men in our family get together in one room and watch a football game, which never ever happens. On Liverpool, then, Ben, what are you doing for this one? We've kind of played ourselves into a healthy situation with rotation. Really, there are other games on the horizon, of course. Before there's one more game before New Year's. West Ham, right? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. And then United
in the new year. But because of the way we manage the League Cup, I think he's pretty much got, of all the lads he's got fit and available, he can almost do whatever he wants in this one.
and having the week break helps. I mean, we were talking before we come in, it's so rare to not have a New Year's Day fixture, and now suddenly you've got a week gap, and it's notwithstanding the potential rotations and break for the Champions League that we're going to have, it's going to be very rare between now and the end of the season that you have a full week. Yep. So yeah, it gives you license. And I think a few of the individual performances yesterday, I think, might have changed my thinking slightly. So, for example, I probably would have taken Szoboszlai out for this, but how can you really? He played so well yesterday. You'd start him now. It's a game that probably suits Curtis Jones. Yeah. So maybe you chuck him in instead of McAllister. I'd probably stick with Gakpo. And I'd maybe look at Núñez, because they are terrible, and it's maybe a game where he can go and get a couple of goals. Yeah. So maybe Diaz drops out. If it's one of those, if Chiesa's fit, or if he was, this is the exact type of game where you go, well, maybe Salah. But I think the problem is now Salah is desperate to play every game. Yeah. He's scoring every game. Yeah. He's not picking up. He's available for every game.
Sunday, Thursday's a big gap, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got a week off the back of it. So I'd probably put Núñez in, and I'd probably put Jones in. And if Tsimikas is around, I'd maybe put Tsimikas in. I think they're the 3 I'm going to play.
Yeah, I agree. I think he makes 3 changes, because not so much fatigue ahead of after Spurs, more looking ahead to West Ham, because that Thursday Sunday turnaround, I know we were used to it a bit last season. So I think Kostas definitely plays. I think you can put him in ink. Jones, I think, plays for I'd probably say for Szoboszlai as well. I think this is more of a Jones game than a Szoboszlai game. I think I would start Jota as well. I think Jota will play. against Leicester, he feels like
He hates them.
He hates them for like, yeah. He told to fuck off, didn't he, a few years ago? It feels like more of a penalty box game than a running in behind game. So I
think they'll be deep. Yeah,
so I think maybe Gakpo drops out. You move Lucho to the left and play Jota. Because you do again the gap from Spurs to Leicester's fine. It's the Leicester to West Ham thing that he'll have half an eye on.
Yeah, I think it's all good points. You're right. This is one where on paper you should be able to feel whatever team you want because Leicester have been dog shit, and they're not in great form, and it's at Anfield, and you've got all those things going for you. But we talked about after that Real Madrid Man City week, if you really needed to go and beat Newcastle to keep the vibes going, and it felt like we kind of undercut it to get back to make sure to re-solidify our place at the top of the league. This is one where I want to go and you want to be utterly ruthless. Go and put another really strong statement win down here if you can, and worry about what comes of West Ham. And you're right, there's enough of a gap there that you should be fine, barring any major sort of injury issues. So, yeah, I think what we're saying there makes perfect sense. You're not weakening your team really by putting Tsimikas in there. The rest of the back four pretty much picks itself on who's available and the goalie. Gravenberch, no reason why he wouldn't continue to play. He had a week off, didn't he? McAllister's had plenty of time off because of suspension, so he should be able to go again. And yeah, I'm fine. Curtis Jones, bring Curtis in, and that Jota up front needs minutes. So yeah, all falling into place.
Yeah, so the Liverpool's boxing day record, touch wood, has been excellent. Jurgen Klopp on all of his that he played,
Leicester included,
twice. Yeah. Hopefully Arne Slot can do the same. I think the last year was Burnley, wasn't it? We played and beat them 2-0. Liverpool's record, like I say, this is the time in the fixture calendar where the big teams sometimes do all right, because these, with all due respect, lesser teams aren't used to this grind.
Squad's
Liverpool have got the squad where they can make 4 or 5, 6 changes. Leicester don't really have that. I know they've got their own injury issue. They're missing the goalkeeper, or have been. He's touch and go whether he's going to come back. So I think this is one way when you should hope that your squad's good enough, and where these teams who are used to having a week off and all of a sudden they're asked to go and play a relegation 6-pointer where they've just got battered and then they go to Anfield. It's one of those where, when we were battered in Spurs 5 and they didn't give up, Leicester probably would. There's bigger fish to fry down the road than trying to get 3 points at Anfield. So fingers crossed it plays out that way.
Just in terms of keeping with the trivia tradition on build-up shows, does anyone know the last time we lost to Leicester in the league at Anfield?
Oh, Anfield. God, no. They beat us at their place when Luckman scored, Salah missed a pen.
Oh, we lose that.
They scored from the halfway line once at their place.
That volley as well.
One of the reasons Ben hates Leicester so much is that little clutch of...
To that game on the 27th.
Do you remember the COVID one at their gaff when Clavan and Alisson ran into each other?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's always been at their place.
Was it not? Kabak?
Clavan. Clavan,
from the past.
Big O's on.
The last time...
Did Ian Marshall score? Because he tended to do this.
This is before that. So
before?
We've lost more recently.
I see.
Games. The last time we lost at Anfield to Leicester was on the 3rd of May, 2000.
Was it? Yeah.
So, 24 and a
Who
half
scored
years.
the goals? Muzzy, is it?
Goal. I'll tell you.
Heskey?
Big Emil.
No, the goals
He
were
played for us by
scored
then.
by former Everton centre-forward.
Oh.
Everton, Leicester.
Yeah.
Tony Cottee.
Tony Cottee.
Wow, that's a great... God.
Don't worry about it, Ben. It's fine. Ask your dad.
both Tony Cottee?
No, he scored after 2 minutes in that game, and the second I would never have got this in a million years. It was scored by Phil Gilchrist.
Not a real person.
Liverpool's 11. Westerveld, Oncho, Ipia, Matteo Carragher. This was in the dominant Matteo at left back the time of life. Jamie Redknapp, captain. Berger, Hamann, Thompson, Heskey and Owen were in the Liverpool lineup that day. Martin O'Neill was the manager, of course. Peggy Fexad was in goal for Leicester.
Signed him after that, did we?
Yeah, exactly. Before he joined us on a free transfer.
Was to play the worldie. Was that the worldie, that game?
With another one, as far as blasts from the past, that Leicester team. So Peggy Fexad, Andy Impey, Steve Guppy, Phil Gilchrist, Matt Elliott, Frank Sinclair, Neil Lennon. Muzzy is it, Tony Cottee, Robbie Savage and Darren Eadie. There's some Premier League.
Barclays
almost like pre-Barclays. Darren Eadie, Robbie Savage, Muzzy is
Matty Elliott, mate.
Matt Elliott
was the early days of fancy footy when you have to write into the paper to pick your team, so you couldn't change it after a while. Mate. Everyone, he went up for corners.
Steve Guppy, mate, is he England's answer down the left hand side? Conclusively, no, he was not. But it didn't hurt to try. And yeah, there was a little spell in that time where we actually lost three on the bounce. We actually lost.
Martin O'Neill's Leicester team were a little bit of a bogey team for us.
Yeah, we lost in '99 and then in '97 before that as well. And I imagine there's probably some Ian Marshall goals in all of them. Well done to everyone who knew that stuff. For the sake of argument, let's have some score predictions. Steve, what do you think?
4-0.
I go 5-0 because I was going to say 4-0.
I'll say 3-0, but that's us with the foot off the gas for a bit.
5-1. Jamie Vardy, obviously.
Loves an Anfield goal, doesn't he?
Does indeed, the prick. And I would even not be against him scoring the opening goal, just so you get, you know what I mean, just to see him. She has that little bit of belief that maybe, it's all fine, it's all fine. No, it's not 5-1. Cool. Let me know in the comments what you think this game is going to go like, what's your starting 11, and all of that stuff as well. Thank you so much for joining us. If you got more from us and the gang, can keep the festive vibes going.
That wasn't long enough. There's more to come.
We will be over on the Biased Football podcast over on Redmen Plus, discussing Arsenal, the leaky press room in Manchester United's ground. Oh, joyous days. Manchester City's continued dismal form, Everton holding Chelsea, and a whole lot more, including the Boxing Day fixtures. So yeah, come and check us out over on redmenplus.com for that one. Ta-da.